Hello again, dear listener, and welcome back to Poems and Potions. Today, we will be going over the third part of our interview with Louise Robertson. Just as a reminder, during the interviews, we talk about Meat Grinder being in July. That will be August 10th. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Geniuses are everywhere.
Yep, thanks for sharing that. And with that, we come to, you got a poem for us. So could you share it with us?
I always like the last thing I read, but I'm going to pick something that I think is tried and true. It is a pandemic poem. It is for a local musician. It was written for Bob Petrick, a local musician who died in the pandemic. Let me find the poem. Oh, here it is. The title of the poem is called "The Count is Now 2 and Whatever," for Bob Petrick. The count is now 2 and whatever. 2 being the number of people whose feelings I hurt. I mean, the last thing I did to them was I hurt their feelings, and I have the text messages to prove it. It feels like I am Peter. Deny, 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 like that. And it feels like if I were Jesus and my friends denied me, well, if I were Jesus, I would know that cowardice is how Peter survived the day. And if I were Jesus, I would think my friend Peter should survive the day. And if denying me was what did it, then okay, deny. I told my daughter to do that, to blame me, to say, my mom is such a bitch. I have to go home. She won't let me drinking. And then I taught her to pass the joint to the next person if that's what she wanted. She had my blessing, my parental blessing, and I am no Jesus. She had my blessing to kick me in the head, metaphorically, if she had to, and I let her know ahead of time, so she didn't have to pause. I said, blame me, say, what a bitch, say that. And I heard her do it once. So proud. And so if my friends are denying me, that's fine. I think if I'm hurting my friends like that, I think they would forgive me like Jesus. And if they wouldn't, then we hurt each other. And that is how they left the world, in pain. And me too. I'm in pain too. They are gone and I hurt them.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, Louis. When did you write this poem?
Let's see, right after Bob died,
Wow,
like May 2020 or
wow.
June. That's summer anyway. Oh boy, did that mess me up. We totally had a stupid fight. He was well known on the music scene, and I was sort of well known on the poetry scene. But we didn't know each other that way. We knew each other as IT people who liked Indian food for lunch. So Bob and I worked at WorldCom together, and we would go get Indian food at lunch. And we did not talk about our respective artist lives. And fast forward years, and he, I think, was agoraphobic. And I think I was his therapy assignment, because he would go to therapy and then we would meet for lunch. I was like, is this, are my assignment? But whatever, it was fine. And then he had an interview where I was working at the time at Chase, and apparently I walked right past him and didn't see him because I'm face blind. I just didn't see him. And he was so hurt. And he's texting me about how hurt he is. And I get like, I didn't see you. Why are you mad? It's not like I meant to not see you or hurt you. And so we had this fight. Then he dies. And I'm like, that's where that poem came from. It's like I couldn't, it was hard. And he was only a couple years older than me. Yeah. So thank you for listening to that. I don't know what point the story is.
Yeah, well, thank you so
Uh,
much for sharing that. And in general, thanks a lot for opening your heart to us. Rand, do you have any final thoughts or questions?
Oh, I have so many questions. So many questions. I wanted to ask, and I'm not sure if I asked you this before, but basically, how do you make your prompts, like for the
oh,
Metafactory?
yeah, I'm an English major. No, that's the glibber. That's the flippant response. Um, when I read a poetry book, I'll just read it for pleasure. But if I read it for the Metafactory, I'm I am trying to see sort of the prompt behind it. Not that they have one, but I'm also trying to strip it enough that I'm not playing Mad Lib with somebody else's poem.
Mhm.
Warsan Shire has a poem that she has dedicated to Andre Breton, and it has this phenomenal beginning pattern that Andre Breton also has. In the poem, hers is dedicated to, and that's probably the one time I play Mad Libs because I feel like it's like a chain of a poetry prompt. So if you use it, you can cite Warsan Shire and you can recite Andre Breton. And I'm trying to remember the name of the poem. I'm actually trying to Google it right now, but oh, let me see if I can but the pattern of the prompt is the opening of her poem and the opening of Andre Breton's poem is you take a person that you care about, you take a object, and you take like a body part, and you put it together. And I'm not quoting either one of them here. I'm quoting a local poet by the name of Tom Barlow. He took this pattern and wrote something like, "My brother-in-law has a cash register for a mouth." And he wrote the whole poem like that. So that's the closest I get to sort of Mad Lib poetry, is to take this technique that many people have used. So I will read a poem and kind of try to see the thing behind the thing. So like if you took a poem like Wallace Stevens's 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird, the prompt might be something like, think of something you see every day and then write 13 sentences about it, or something like that, right? Or if I'm trying to work on a technique like anaphora, which is where this beginning is the same. Da, da, da. My poem, These Are My Pants. These are my pants. I'll start with these are. That's anaphora. I'm not sure how to say that word. Anaphora, anaphora. I'm not sure. And so I'll make people write around a sentence, and then they don't know this, but now they have to use those first three lines. So all of the prompts are kind of created like that. And the best way is kind of just to give you an example. I guess William Carlos Williams has that famous poem, "So much depends upon the red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater among the white chickens." I would make the following prompt from that. I would say, think of a time where something important was happening in a space and you're outside that space. Now describe the space outside the important space. If William Carlos Williams said there was a sick child in the house when he wrote that scene outside the house. So like that's how I make my prompts. It's like I kind of and then there are sort of evergreen prompts. Like I know when I did Hanif's book, there was a poem that kind of talked about what he inherited from his family that wasn't like hair color, wasn't physical. And once you see that many poets talk about that. So that's how I get them. It's like you kind of see the germ behind the germ. But I really, really, really put a lot of thought into trying not to make people copy other poets. I'm just trying to take that sort of, and I wrote the prompts for Karen G's book last month, and she saw the prompts and she's like, "Oh," like I'll show, if I know the poet, I'll show them. And they're like, they usually come back with like, "Oh, that's not where the poems came from," but.
Well, that's something I love about poetry, is that the interpretation, the way you can see it versus what I meant, and well, yeah, like with Karen G's poems, I loved your prompts. I thought those were really great. It got me thinking in places that I hadn't really considered.
Yeah.
And what's weird is that I try to be critical of my work,
Uh-huh.
but I was like kind of proud of a few of the poems
You
that I
should.
came out with. Like,
Yeah.
this is cool.
Yeah, I would. It's funny when you do read it differently when you're looking for prompts. I wanted to share the anecdote of when I was using Adrienne Rich, a 20th century poet. I think she died in the last 20 years though. And I always thought of her as a very academic poet. And when I was looking at her poems, I'm like, she's doing a lot of housework in all these poems. Like, I guess Adrienne Rich is also not only extremely academic, but also doing chores all the time, making the bed, sweeping the floor. So, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, I really like to write slice of life poems like that.
Hmm.
One of the favorite ones that I wrote was about doing dishes and how you get an idea for a poem in the middle of doing dishes, and then you have to dry your hands and find the paper and find the pen and make sure it's all written down before you go back to the dishes, and you get one bowl in and there's another idea and the cycle repeats. So
I
it's
can't wait to hear that. That sounds wonderful.
I'm gonna have to dig it up. I know it was around here some. It was an earlier one, so
You'd be
all the earlier
surprised how
stuff.
many different things come from the same prompt.
I can see it.
I
Absolutely.
remember a prompt I gave that started, uh, I threw that kid away. And it's a Grace Paley poem, Paley, Grace Paley, a great poem. And it's about a kid going off to war, but nobody knows that. So one poem is about abortion, one poem is about adoption, and then somebody else writes about a goat.
I
So it's
love
like,
that.
all right.
Yes.
I threw that kid away like an old button. I don't know the title of the poem, but it's a great poem. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So to anyone who wants to support your Patreon,
Oh, right.
do you post also, especially since we're on the topic, the prompts? You post those
Oh,
each.
yeah. Thank you for such a great setup question. I do have a Patreon. Here's the address: patreon.com/Louise Robertson. So LouiseRobertson. There are levels. $1 level where you just give me $1 every month. There's a $3 level where I post the prompts every month, and the notes from the presentation. So if I find myself talking about Hanif a lot, or if I find myself talking about Rose Smith a lot, like I write down everybody I mention and the poems that I mention and the poems I use. And if I can find links to the poems, or if I can, sometimes I can find links to earlier versions of the whole book, like I try to share whatever I can find in those notes. And that's the $3 level, the Metafactory tip jar. And then I have a $7 level for chapbooks. So I write a chapbook every month. For $7, you get the chapbook and nothing else. And for $10, you pretty much get everything. But there's also a $25 Jack Johnstone level, who wanted everything, but also wanted to up his contribution. So I made a whole level just for Jack Johnstone. And one other person was on that level for a little while. And I thank him a lot, Ryan. And I'm very understanding. People can come and go, and they have. So, and then I'm also writing a vampire novel sporadically.
Oh, I get that
Down
too.
there.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah.
I enjoyed it while I could afford it.
Well, $10 is the same as 25.
And I
So
thank you for that.
that's why I called it the Jack Johnstone level. Because I don't really do, and I meant to post more stuff, but it turns out doing the chapbook and the Metafactory notes is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's something to help me and something to help you. And then there's the Patreon link.
Excellent. I will, as
So
always, I will definitely try to let people know about it, because I love getting the chat books every month. And once my printer ink arrives, I'm going to print the next one out.
Oh, you print.
I like to like
Okay, the
walk.
Johnstone's printed out too, they tell me.
Well, yeah, I like to doodle, and then if there's like a really good line that I like to underline it. I'm reading my own stuff. I like digital, but when it's
Yeah.
other people's stuff, I still really like to have that paper. Just so I can, oh, this is good, this is cool, So no, I very much enjoy it, and I thank you for doing that. It's really great.
Oh yeah, I encourage anybody. Patreon is a really good way to fund yourself a little bit. Like this definitely helps me buy the books from Metafactory. I'm always looking to buy books and so that artists get paid.
And I
So
appreciate that
it
too,
helps me
is
buy
that
them.
it for the one I was at, Karen G was coming in and she was going to have the books, so we were able to, if we liked it, we
Oh
could pick
yeah,
it up.
that was a one-time thing. Yeah.
Well, and I still think that's really important. If no one, if someone who's new to the poetry community comes in and they come to Metafactory, they're immediately getting, every month there's kind of a sample of different types of poets, plus some
Yeah.
really cool prompts.
You say new, but older poets have told me they liked hearing who's new and who they should read that they don't know.
I can see it as being easy to get stuck, especially, stage and page kind of thing.
Yeah, it's still there, but it's not, it's going away real fast, I think.
Oh yeah, I can see it, because that's,
Someone like
that was my
Portia
training.
Portia out of Boston, she just she's just another example of an amazing person who kind of came up through slam, who's just a dominant force in writing. You've got to take that word slam and performance off because it's just a poem in the end. And yeah. Oh, and why am I blanking on her name? Sarah Freeman, our Columbus,
Yes,
Ohio grown, is killing it these days. And
yes,
she came up with slam too.
I had a chance to meet her when she was here for the writers conference, and like I had told Mandar, going to Cauldron, I didn't know who anybody was. I didn't know what they did, nothing. I very much like that aspect of it, because like, you and Scott Woods, I've heard things about before I ever met you. So there's already like
Oh,
so
okay.
much there. You're legendary. And I like to get to know the person, especially when it comes to poetry, because so much of it is emotion or it's playing with words. Poetry really reflects the person. So it's interesting for
It
me
does.
as the
Yeah.
new person. It's like, oh, but no, I love it. And Sierra,
Enjoy it? I say question mark. I fantasize about going to a town that doesn't know me and just doing that new thing again. You
I
can't
can
do
see
it
that.
twice, really. I think I would really have to carefully pick the town now because of slam. I know people almost everywhere.
That makes sense. So are national slams, do you think, gonna like, what was it, COVID that killed slam, or did it just
No, it was toxicness and toxic people
okay?
and sexual assault. And yes, there was so much. Some people who are drawn to slam are drawn there because they're narcissists. I'm going a little far by saying that.
Well,
But there are some personalities that get well known and powerful because there they are. Emotions are high. We're all emotion junkies. Like when you're
mhm.
writing all the time, you're like, ooh, that leaf. Is there a tragedy there? I like, even when I was in my MFA, this isn't even I'm like, am I the only person who wasn't abused as a child? Like, you have to wonder, what are you going to write about if no one abused you? I'm sorry. I'm not being flip about abuse. I'm just like, you're sitting there going, all of you. but, but there was a lot of people who would get a taste of fame and stardom, and they would take advantage of people. And that was starting to bubble up and bubble up. And the year I was on the National Poetry Slam team, the 1 year I was actually on the team, 2013, it was just so everywhere. That's all anybody, it was just very toxic. And
This makes me happy that we're going to see Meat Grinder come back. Or now, so you are a part of Meat Grinder as well, or is that?
oh yeah, that belongs to both of us. I mean, with
All
even
right.
with it, Meat Grinder, Shedden, and even Metafactory in some way. They all kind of grew up not in writer's block, but had the writer's block association. Metafactory is the strongest one because I pushed the workshop through writer's block, but they're not technically part of writer's block.
Siblings almost kind of thing.
Yeah, it's me and Scott. Like, yeah, Scott and I are a really good team for getting things done.
I like that. And just from what you told me about, slam culture, from what I've met of Scott, I haven't had any long conversations with him, but I like him from what I've met. I love you to death. You're wonderful. So I think Meat Grinder, that makes me happy. It's not going to be like the slam. It's going to be from your imaginations.
Yeah, we do have kind of a stumbling block because the slam culture isn't very strong right now. There's no weekly slam. There's not much around. The PSI is no longer. There are regional slams, but nothing. So basically, we have to get a group of people who don't usually slam to slam. So I propose trying smaller teams this year. Usually we have 4-person teams, make it 3. I mean, you could have 20 people on your team if you want, but we'll treat it like a 3-round thing. A team slam looks like this. So like if you have 4 people, 1 person from each team goes up, and then that's a round. And then the next person from each team goes up, and that's a round. And you have 4 rounds, and those points are accumulated. So that's how a team slam works. And so as you can see, it's not all on one person's shoulders. You can have the highest score and no one else on your team does well, so your team doesn't do well. Yeah.
I'm looking
Yeah,
forward
so
to this.
they're siblings. Yeah. But it's just us two. Like, Scott is a solution machine. And I'm obviously focusing on the events that I had a role in. But Scott's got Streetlight Guild, and you can see how he has an idea and it becomes a reality. And so it's I think it's still kind of true. I feel like if I had another idea, it would happen. Like that happened with Shedden. I called him up and I said, I want to do a late night backyard poetry event. And it turned into Shedding because Scott poured himself into it. So I kind of gave it to him because it's got a very juke joint African American. So that sort of belongs to Streetlight Guild now. And
like
then, or I come to him and say, I want to do this. And next thing you know, he's quizzing me about what I really want to do and how I really want to see it. And then it happens. So, because once you have the vision, it's just date, venue. Yeah, you're done. That's it.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited.
Yeah. And then having Cafe Kerouac in our pocket has been good too.
Yeah, well, I know I spend a decent amount at the cafe itself, so I can see why. It's definitely there. And I know
perfect.
Oh, I love it. I love it all so much.
We liked it because it gave you a sense of you can throw a little paint. You can drop the popcorn. You can it's a dorm room.
It is. It's a little raucous. It's not, and that I think was my fear, was I was expecting to go into something that was more academic, more, to be frankly blunt, snooty, more intellectually gatekeepery, all of those things. And so when I showed up to this place that was just alive and happy, and it was life-changing.
Yeah, so the Poetry Forum used to feel like that when it was at Larry's. Me and Brunel have the same story of going there, and we're very different backgrounds, but both of us are well educated. There's no reason on earth we should have felt like we didn't belong, and we both did feel like we didn't belong, didn't want to come back ever again.
I didn't.
And so,
I went to 2 of them. I went to see you, actually. I saw your feature at Forum, and I just didn't
Oh
like
yeah,
the
I
feel
remember
there
that.
as much. And like Mandar, Sue, everyone was there.
Yeah, it changed. It
But
changed when they got kicked. When Larry's died, the bar died, and they had to bounce around, and the poetry forum got much more accessible. I think
okay,
they just had gotten cliquish. I think that's all that had happened.
which I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, but Writer's Block never, never. Those two, I don't know if I talked enough about how phenomenal both Vernell and Scott are as hosts. Vernell, okay, so this is the best example of her. I was at one of the Wow PSs. I might have even been the year I was the rep. She was the finals host. And so what you have is a bunch of high-strung poets who are very nervous and want to do their best and want to win, and they're on guard for everything. So if you bobble or make a mistake or change the energy of the room, someone's going to be upset. Like, what if you rile everybody up? Bring them on. And then the next poet, you're like you have to have a certain ability to keep the energy at a level. And she was the host for finals where the tensions and spirits and feelings are really high. And one of the judges decides to go to the bathroom and just leave. So Vernell has to fill in for this poet that wandered off. And then all 10, 12, however many people were on the final stage, they're back there going, how is this going to affect my score? Like, what is this going to do? Because they're all scientists too. Like, there's a science and strategy and thought and tone. And she kept it so even, like energy up without going over the top. Like, I know other hosts like get in trouble for bringing the audience way high because then it's uneven or it's higher than over here. So like Vernell, masterful. And she's so good at keeping a room going. And Scott in a different way. But they're both naturally good at it. But I also believe they have their heart and mind in it as well. And they put not just the work and the talent, but also the care and intellect. So full package.
No, and that's something with Cauldron is that just for me, because I'll step back at a meta level and look at how I like to do that, see how everything plays with itself. And something I really appreciate about Cauldron is that you don't know what the poets are going to bring. So it can be a happy poem or it can be a very sad poem. But, the MCs always help to bring that energy back. And especially since it usually is more of a lighter energy, I think that really helps with whatever the, socio-psycho thing is, where it's, you're down and then you're up and then you're down and then you're up. And the up is better because you were down and the down is better because you were up. That whole thing. So I think that I love that. I think that works really well.
And you also have to be ready. Like there's somebody, like there'll be somebody who like does a sonnet every week and the next thing, and you're expecting a sonnet about flowers, and then you get like a raunchy poem about pencil erasers, and you're like, well, next poem, but it's all good. It's good. And I think we probably have the same reasons for being drawn to the space. Like the space that's created, like even though like I feel like if I had gone to Poetry Forum, I might have over the years I've learned I do really well with a middle-aged white audience, really well, but I don't seek that audience out.
No, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, but Writer's Block gave me, yeah.
Well, I thank you for being a part of it.
Okay, sorry.
And I thank you also
for listening.
Oh no, I am part of why I'm here is because like I said, I'm just starting and I don't know any of this history, but I'll hear the whispers. I've heard whispers about slams. I'll hear, I've heard about you, I've heard about Scott. So this is amazing for me because I'm now getting to have some kind of a cohesive understanding for just basically being, born onto the scene a short time ago. So I love every bit of it. So thank you so much.
I've always loved watching the generations. Like Like if you sit at Scott's feature on Saturday, like I'm seeing people from like 5 different generations, as it were, of writer's block. Because
Yep.
you have a group come in and then some fade away and some don't. And yeah. And I'm just truly honored and grateful that I was allowed to help writer's block.
And I thank you for helping
Yeah, because
so much.
yeah. And I know I was always like, oh, who's this? Brunel and Scott, who's that? Like, but yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
get that. It's taken me a while to like really cement everybody, and as new people show up, especially if they become regulars, it's another name to learn.
Oh, that's hard. And
Yeah.
I really have messed up people's names because and offline, like it's funny when it's a white person. It's not funny when it's not a white person.
I will tell you a story the next time I see you.
Okay. And it hurts my heart when I see on their faces and I'm like, oh God, I would wear a pin that says face blind if I could. But, and
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
I told Mandar the story too. Yeah, that's a fun
Okay.
one. Thank you for the poem.
Oh yeah, we've gone way over time. Thank you so much.
But thank you for your time, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you for joining us for Poems and Potions. As always, a big thank you to you, our listener, and to our poet, Louise Robertson, for spending time with us. Please be sure to join us next month when our featured poet will be A.D. Dietrich, and we will have a special guest interviewer. Poems and Potions is produced by Mandar Kath, Marquita Byers, and Ryan Lear. If you would like to help support us, you can find our Patreon link below, as well as Louise's, and also, if you'd like, check out her website. And until next time, bye-bye.